Do you want to hang out and do some sewing? That's great, because I've only just started this latest project. I need help. Come on over. In part 1 of this series, we tackled the bodice, including
French darts.
Today was a rest day, but I figured I could take a quick look at
The fitted skirts.
So this skirt is considered semi-fitted, and it has side back seams, a self-lined overlay that gathers at the side. It's sort of like a faux wrap skirt. It's lovely.
Merci.
I'm a little bit concerned because dresses like this, when I buy them off the shelf, typically never fit me right.
Yikes.
In the last video, you could see how the shoulder darts were a little too low, and sometimes then the skirt is too low. Because it has the bust, because it has the waistline marked on the pattern pieces, heck, I'm sewing, I can even adjust the length of the darts to make my darts more darty. I'm keeping it simple to start. I cut a size 10 and I took out the standard petite adjustment that this pattern offers. Let's cut some fabric and let's get sewing. One thing I realized while I was cutting the fabric is because this is thrifted material, I don't know the fabric content and I really don't know much about different fabric types. So I did some reading and it turns out that you can burn pieces of fabric, carefully of course, unless you're a pyro. You can kind of tell by the flame how they burn what the material is. So we might be doing some science. Woo! Okay. This might be cotton? Water here if I need it. Wow, it's really burning. Oof. Chemical smell. It's sticky, it's ashy. This might be cotton. I didn't think it was. Contestant B. It's got similar characteristics. Still smoldering. Burn, baby, burn. It looks much different and smelled much different. It's also a much different weave. What do you think? Post your guess of the fiber content in the comments, and I will select a random winner at a random time. Good luck! It seems like we got a little distracted here. Who cares? I want to sew a skirt. It's because it's going to determine for us the best type of needle to use. Different fibers and different weaves drape differently on the body, and some you shouldn't mix and match. So let's revisit the discussion about what type of lining fabric would be good for this garment. He liked polyester and I wanted cotton. However, a kind person on Pattern Review pointed out that you cannot mix a cotton lining with a polyester garment. The reason being, different fabrics behave in different ways. Sometimes they can be slippery, sometimes they can be fiddly, sometimes they can be puckery. And I don't know, I'm feeling a little tense. It's not bad, it's just a little wrinkly. I'm gonna lower the tension to 6 and see if that gets any better or worse. Like 7 better. I changed my outfit! This is a thrifted flying tomato. And I knew I'd be ironing, so I've got my back brace support on. Use sharp pins with your fabric because otherwise it'll pull and it'll be a mess. So many pins. Ah, lost one. Oops, left my iron on. Don't worry, Mom, I'm safe. What are we thinking? This is looking so much better with the skirt attached. How's the back? I'm not quite centered actually, hang on. Doesn't feel even. Should be though. My body's crooked, or I pinned it crooked. We don't have any darts here to line up, but in the back bodice, the bodice and the skirt darts have to line up perfectly with each other. That might be tricky. I'm getting a little bit of poof here. I get this on skirts all the time, and I always wonder if it's due to the length of the darts. I'm gonna try on a couple of skirts that fit me well to get an idea of how I might want to adjust the darts on the new skirt. This is my belly button. This is the dart. That's the top of my hip. Now let's see if we're getting any puffing. Yeah, you do. This is really high-waisted and it's a little tight on me. This one is stretch. Whoops, dropped a pin. This one is stretch, so I'm not sure if we can compare it, but I'll show you what happens to me a lot on skirts is I get lines like this. I think it means that it's too tight. So belly button, end of dart, top of hip. Interesting. Good morning, gorgeous. How you doing today? I was feeling some anxiety this morning about finishing up this project, and I made the intention to release any self-judgment, any pressure I was putting on myself, and just let go of the timing. So I poured myself a cup of evening in Missoula tea, took a breath, got some sun, and felt ready to... What are you sipping on? Oh, that sounds nice. Let's get hydrated together and plan the next steps of this project. Here's where we are with the bodice. Front bodice, back bodice, and all those darts are sewn. They need to be pressed. I've marked the darts on this fabric. This is not cotton. This is polyester. It's slippery. It's hard to work with. It's wrinkly. I need to find a way to sew this without getting the fabric all pilled. This is why we use interfacing. This is important because it's going to need to have stability to hold the notches in the collar won't flap down. All right, so on the lining, I've stitched here and here. And I'm gonna do the same thing on the fashion fabric. How's the weather by you? That sounds nice. It's perfect seam ripping weather here.
You're gonna pivot, stitch along your stitching line, pivot again.
I've got some more understitching to do, but we're looking good so far, I think. I think I just figured out what these are for. So here I am having the time of my life sewing this really long seam, just nailing it. I'm getting to the end, getting to the end. This is where my bobbin thread ran out. I never know how much bobbin thread I'm gonna need. So now I'm wanting a new one, and it's just a guess, but I came pretty doggone close. It's time for the old flipperoo. Uh-oh. I really hope I did this right. We're flipping to the outside. Wrong side. Wrong is white and right is dark. You've gotta be kidding me. I'm getting very confused. I sewed it so that wrong sides were together. And in the picture, it shows the white side facing out. The white side is the wrong side. So I screwed that up. But I think I can save it by doing French seams. Yes?
Oui, oui.
So let me rip out from here till here. So how the heck do you use one of these seam ripper things? I'll show you. Underneath one of the stitches and pull. And then I usually do another one, either the one right next to it or a couple further down. And then you flip it around, and you're like, okay, where are the open ones? Hello! Hello! I'm gonna go in with the red ball side down, kind of pull them apart, and then just start to rip, like so. Am I doing it right, guys? How do you seam rip? Sometimes you can just pull. Fancy. We're gonna do some French seams to go with our French darts. Ooh la la! This is a French seam. You flip it inside out, and then my seam allowance is inside here. And then I'm gonna sew an additional line of stitches here. And then when it gets flipped back inside out again, the original seam line is going to be snugged up in there. You're not going to see it. Out of sight, out of mind. I'm clipping my French seams. So I do all my notches in one direction first, and then I do them all in the other direction, because I can't be going back and forth like this with the scissors the whole time. That is a wrist buster. I like to be nice to my wrists. Good wrist. All right, I'm just marking my tucks. These are gonna get basted. Right now my back is basted, so after this it's gonna be time for some rest. Well, that's as far as we've gotten. Couldn't have done it without you. Let me know if I'm doing anything wrong. Please comment below about your guess on the fiber content. If you like this video, you might like one of these as well. Please consider subscribing to be notified of
The final reveal.
happy sewing!